Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, we've been on the air more than 5 years now and it's been quite the ride, and I really enjoy it. It's Christmas season and so I'm out and about a little bit more than usual. I've been hiding in my bunker of late and don't get out much, but with Christmas, I've done it. And it's amazing to me, the number of you that listen to this show and come and tell me that you never miss it. And I'm like, really? I'm always amazed at that, But I so much appreciate you, each and every one of you that follow this show and want to keep yourself educated on this stuff, especially having to do with human trafficking and sextortion and social media exploitation, child pornography, and now money laundering. That's what we're going to talk about today. I've just been in awe late as I look at the news at the amount of crime that is going on all around us. I've been in this business 13 years, and of course, I've known for my tens of thousands of hours of research on various kinds of crime. And, I study that because I really want to help equip others on how to stop it, how to keep people from becoming victims of it, especially our kids when we deal with crimes like sextortion and social media exploitation. That's really where my heart is. And as most of you know, we have a movie coming out. It's only a couple months away now, 2.5 months. It's been a long time coming. But it is truly, truly an exciting thing. I've seen it. I'm over the moon as far as how good it is. And Stephen Peake is the producer. He's done a fantastic job. Really amazing in thinking about it, because when I first started, I just wanted a 45-minute movie that I could put into schools to teach kids where naked photos go when you hit send. And, as God has opened the doors, it's been absolutely amazing. This thing is much bigger than anything I ever thought possible. As far as getting the word out around the world about sextortion and social media exploitation. And most important, to educate parents and teenagers about where those naked photos go when you hit send. So I'm very, very excited about it. But in all the work that I've done, one of the things that I have studied is money laundering. And that's what I want to talk about today. This is money laundering related to all kinds of criminal activity. And I've just been kind of in awe of it. I probably watch the news different than a lot of people because I am known for doing so much research on these kinds of subjects. And I look at this, and especially when I see things like defunding police or cutting back on police budgets. And I say, our society is going to pay a price for that. The security that we know today, the America that we have known, is fast changing in front of our eyes. We are seeing all kinds of things happening that I think 10 years ago, if you had told us, we would not have believed it, maybe even 3 or 4 years ago. As we began to do away with things like enhanced sentencing. I've talked about that in the past, but what has worked in the past is people have been, if they're part of organized crime, whether it's a gang, whether it's a cartel, whether it's some sort of criminal, transnational criminal, TCO, transnational criminal organization, they get an enhancement and a longer sentence. Well, in the last couple of years, there's been a movement, especially in the state of California, but across many states, to do away with that enhanced sentencing. The whole emphasis is on the fact that we have too many people in prison and we've got to find ways to get them out. Well, that's a hard subject. I'm certainly for rehabilitation. I certainly am for that. Everybody deserves another break. But I'm also believe that we have a right to be secure in our own country. The role of the U.S. government in our country is to keep us safe. And that is the one rule that seems to be being reversed right now, as you're starting to let out thousands of criminals out early. And doing away with bail. I mean, we're seeing this over and over and over, where people were released out on bail. That we had a case like that not very long ago, where just the guy who ran into the crowd up in, I think it was Wisconsin, and he had just been out on bail, and he's a repeat offender over and over. And so what we see is an increase in crime. I'm going to take it even a step further than that, quite frankly, because I think that if there's ever a time we ought to be investing in law enforcement, it is right now, and especially in technology for law enforcement. What I'm about to tell you today when it comes to money laundering is a lot of this is done using technology and keeping track and moving money around, because they are exploiting people that generates millions of dollars. But where does that money go? I was thinking about our border, now that we seem to have a sanctuary state, which I find interesting. Nobody voted on that. It was declared. And I find that concept interesting because what it basically says is you have some members of government overruling existing law. We have attorney generals and DAs that, and not this particular attorney general right now, but DAs that are overruling the enforcement of certain laws. And I'm saying, really, when did we get to pick and choose which ones we enforce and which ones we ignore based on our own ideology? We have laws, and when you overrule the rule of law, then you're going to pay a price. And so one of the things that I think about is this open borders kind of thing, which we seem to be deep into. And this is all about humanity, but it is also about millions of kids who are and people, adults that are being exploited, and they are being exploited for big money. I was hearing that we're up to almost 2 million undocumented people who have entered yet this year that they counted. That excludes the ones they have not counted. And if each of those people paid $5,000, which is a very low number, but a very realistic number, by the way, that's the first money they pay. Then they pay some more once they get here. But let's say it's 5,000 and there's 2 million of them. Do you realize that is $10 billion? And you say to yourself, where does 10 billion go? I mean, we keep initially at Los Angeles, they cut $150 million out of a police budget. They have since put several million back in because crime is going rampant over there. And they dissolved crime units such as gang units and drug units. And I'm saying just by allowing in 2 million people, that some organized group has made $10 billion. Where does 10 billion go, and what happens to that money? Well, I'm going to tell you that this all started for me in my research for this particular show based on a headline that came out in the last couple of days. And this headline is up in the Bay Area, up by San Francisco, Concord, that area up in there, San Mateo, I believe. California AG, that's the Attorney General, that is Rob Bonta. Authorities announced sentence for defendants in major retail crime case in San Mateo County. Now, the first thing I want to say is I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful that they've announced this and that it's actually starting to happen and like that. I'm not too grateful for the sentence. The head guy got 6 years on this. Now, we're talking about the theft of over $8 million in merchandise from Walgreens, CVS, and Target. This was organized. These are people who are being used, that are being put into stores to steal things and then send that merchandise overseas. And we're not talking about, I don't know, a small thing. We're talking about organized stuff here. $8 million in merchandise. They found it in homes. They found it in storage units. They found it in warehouses. This is an organized kind of thing. Well, the ringleader only got 6 years. His wife, I think, his wife was part of the deal. Her name is Michelle, I think it's Fowler. And she's ending up with a lot of probation. So it isn't as strong as we would have liked, but they have acknowledged it and they're starting to go after it. But we have to do something to protect our society. My name is Opal Singleton. This show is Exploited Crimes and Technology. We will be right back.
Listen up, folks. You no longer have to drive out of the IE for a great restaurant experience. The Toasted Barrel, an upscale casual steakhouse located in Corona, has been winning award after award for their great diverse menu, service, ambience, wine, and cocktails. Customers call the Barrel the perfect date night. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant 4 years in a row. Wine Spectator recognized the Toasted Barrel's wine program for their award of excellence. Toasted Barrel is famous for their certified Angus beef, prime, Wagyu, and Kobe steaks, and they have some of the best pasta and seafood around. With happy hour and daily specials every day of the week, their appetizers and drink selections are the best around. Live music starts every Friday and Saturday at 5:30. Planning a dinner party, wedding rehearsal, family gathering, or holiday party? Look up Toasted Barrel online and make your reservation today.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced: The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it, and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about the headline today. This one here is in the Kron, KRON 4. That's a TV station up in the Bay Area. I like to give credit to where I get the information. I try to be very careful where I get the information. I try to get it from the Department of Justice or the Homeland Security and make sure that it all agrees with their press releases. But basically, this is all about an organized criminal enterprise that are really going in and wiping out CVS, Walgreens, and Target. You see, because of Proposition 47, it basically had said in there that if you steal under $950, it's a misdemeanor. And this is true in home burglaries also. So all across our land, you are seeing people that are being sent into stores to steal. I was trying to calculate this. Let's say you are, by the way, they have you do other crimes too. I noticed that this one here was funding human trafficking. They will be an inner mix, if you will, between car theft, between human trafficking, between store stealing, shoplifting, all of counterfeit goods. They will often use the same victims and put them out there to generate income. And if you think about if you can steal up to $950 and they won't really take you on, let's say you have a ring of 10 people and each of them every 2 hours are stealing $800 worth of stuff. That's what 800 times 10 is 8,000 for every 2 hours. You do it 4 times a day. That's 32,000 a day times 30 days in a month. You're over $1 million just with 10 people. And many of these rings are absolutely massive. And they're using people to do this. Well, in this case, when they went in and apprehended them, they had over $8 million in merchandise. So I want you to think about that. We see somebody shoplifting at CVS and we go, wow, what a lowlife. But, what are they going to do to them? But when you realize what it took to assemble $8 million in merchandise and keep it stored and get it transported, transacted, and sold across the world, they seized $1.8 million in bank accounts. What I want you to see is that this money is now being used to fuel additional crime. Those are not my words, by the way. Those are the words of the California Attorney General, Rob Bonta. And he's saying that this money was used to fuel additional crimes, including human trafficking. So they're reselling these goods from foreign countries. Now, the lead defendant on it is Danny Luis Drago, and then he and his wife, Michelle Fowler. But there were some others that were involved also. Edgar Morales, Isis Villanueva, Jose Villatoro. So you're seeing here an actual trend where this is not just one little store being shoplifted on. This is, in fact, organized criminal enterprise, and they are laundering that money. Now, how did they launder the money? They did it in various ways by selling goods, but they also used it to take it out in cash, to handle it, to buy property, to buy real estate. And I often will work with banks and help train them in that kind of thing. Because what happens when they start buying and selling real estate is they'll often put in a straw buyer. So if you're in real estate or escrow or title or banking or anything like that, keep an eye out for it. By a straw buyer, this is a buyer that they slip in a new buyer at the end of the transaction. Oh, that money didn't come in, but I've got a cousin and he's got the money, so he's going to go ahead and buy it for me, and then I'll just take it over when my money comes in from my foreign country. And that's how it often happens, or else they'll take back a note. Sometimes they put it into cashier's checks. And so it works in various ways, but this was all happening at your local retail stores, your 7-Elevens, your CVS, your Walgreens, your Target. And you're hearing about stores that are having to close up because of the fact that they cannot stay open. They are being so looted. By the way, I know several people who've had their homes burglarized. And this is happening because of the fact that they don't do a lot of investigation if the burglary is under $800. Well, I want to quote Attorney General Bonta here. He said the organized retail theft we're seeing in California and throughout the country are coordinated efforts by groups that are targeting stores with the intention of stealing as much as possible, with no regard for the safety of the workers or the consumers in those businesses. And I want you to stop and think about that. First of all, I'm very proud of AG Bonta for taking this on. It is not easy to actually find all the players in these big rings. And they are organized and they are moving money around. He said, in this case, we see that the coordination didn't stop at the initial theft. Groups are in turn reselling items, in many cases using them to fund additional illicit activity, including human trafficking and organized crime. The defendants in this case have been held for account for their crimes, and I can assure you others will as well. Well, I hope he keeps his word on that. I am proud of him for taking this on. They did not get the sentences I would have expected, but they at least got sentences, and somebody is finally addressing this, and I think that's important. Now I want to talk about a case out of the Bicycle Casino out of Bell Gardens. That's over there by Long Beach. This is a A smaller casino. It's not like some of your big ones. It's a kind of a card place. But that casino, the Bicycle Hotel and Casino in Bell Gardens, was fined $500,000 by federal authorities for failing to file the proper anti-money laundering reports in 2016. Now, there are multiple sources that are being quoted here. This one's coming from the casino.org, and I appreciate that because I think it's important that we get somebody who knows the business in this kind of thing. So here was what was happening here is that there was a Chinese national high roller who continued to visit the casino for more than 100 times during an 8-month stretch back in 2016. Well, you say that's almost 5 years ago. Why is that just now happening? It takes time to track the money and see where this is going, because in all of these cases, including all the theft that was going on in our stores, they are sending that money out of our country. I mean, this is like a sieve in our country with money laundering. When you start to look at these cases and realize there's 100 billion here and 2 billion there and 800 million here, and that is a lot of money that is not being regularly put together and reported on. In this case, the Chinese high roller had an assistant who handled more than 100 million in cash transactions during that period, less than a year. The cardroom staff notified management in July of 2016 that the workers had failed to file the proper paperwork. They were called CTRs for what it's worth. The casino staff did not file any of the required paperwork during that time. And so it was reported, and they began to look at it and started to change everything. The casino has now established an anti-money laundering committee to increase awareness of federal anti-money laundering laws and regulations. But what happened in here is that you had somebody who was in cahoots, if you will. They're working together. In the end, there was over 1.8 million in fines going on there because they laundered over $100 million out of that small casino. These are called currency transaction reports, by the way, the CTRs. And when they started looking at it, over $100 million. Next time you're going down the 605 freeway and you look up and see that particular casino, just imagine $100 million going through there. Now, they're making it right, and they're still in business, and they're cooperating, and they're putting in all the right kind of transactions, and they are going to be under a lot of scrutiny. I would like to say that I know many of the local casinos in the Inland Empire, and they are fabulous, fabulous people. They hire very high-class, high experts, very knowledgeable people, and they don't kid around. They are watching for money laundering because they want you to go and have a good time and not do anything to harm their enterprises. So I'm very proud of the local ones. We know that they're solid. But $100 million ought to open our eyes. This is Opal Singleton, up against some break. Be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the darknet will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, MILLIONKIDS.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we're talking about money laundering from various kinds of crime and where it goes and how big it is. It just, I think it's because in my case, I live in this world, so I see the cases accumulated. And you have kind of an exponential effect on it because you see this case over here and then you don't see it for another week or two. And then you see this case over here and you say, well, there's not a lot I can do about that. And it's going on around me and like that. Well, I do think that there are things that we can do. I think that we can elect officials who stand for the rule of law, not apologize for it, not try to overrule it or pick and choose which ones work and which ones doesn't. Because the bottom line is you say to yourself, well, money laundering really doesn't have anything to do to me. That's a high-level crime. That is true, but money laundering often takes place by exploiting the little person. And I don't mean that as a value statement. I'm talking about someone who can't fight back, someone who's caught up in the system and is controlled and manipulated and indebted and what they call indentured servitude. And they don't know how to stand up. They don't know where to get the strength. They don't know who to report to. And I think we have to acknowledge that these crimes are going on and they're going on around us. And there are good people and there are bad people out there. And there are people who are victims of the bad people. And we need to keep an eye out for them. And so that's why I wanted to go on and talk about another casino money laundering. And before I do, I want to make it very clear that the casinos I've worked with have very strict enforcement. In fact, I was reading a headline here about the bicycle thing and what Bonta was saying, AG Bonta. He's saying the bicycle didn't learn from their other card room incidents. And there are some laws that are going in to strengthen this money laundering thing. Bonta was going on saying our gaming laws are about protecting the public and ensuring money from illicit activity isn't funneled through card rooms and casinos. He said they have cooperated on it, but they're finding that there are other things that have led to an emergency shutdown and at least an additional $1.8 million in fines. Now, all of this is coming at a time when people are talking about setting up a bill that will allow sports betting. And so this couldn't come at a worse time for that particular casino. He's saying that Bonta went on to say that they're looking at this bill, but they want to be sure and secure a measure that will allow retail sports bettings on their venues and state racetracks. However, to do it in a way where the consumer is protected. You see, all of this always comes down to the consumer is the one that's going to get hurt. When you have millions of dollars flying out of CVS, Walgreens, Target, and all the other stores that are out there, then somebody's got to pay for that. And it's going to be the consumer that will end up having to pay for that. So what I want to share with you now is a case that I talked about before, but I really want you to really understand how big this is. The headline on this took place down in Georgia. The headline on this is the Hard Rock Tampa, which I assume is Tampa Bay in Florida, wash millions for brutal human trafficking gangs, the feds say. Now, this is an interesting thing because we have this dialogue going on at the border about who can come in and who can't come in and, which ones are the coyotes and which ones are the people, and are the people being abused, and are they being abused by a coyote or organized criminal enterprises or even our own government? Because there's a lot of talk about the fact that when they get returned back to their home country, they get violated because they came up here but did not stay. Well, what this is a violent human trafficking gang. By the way, it was ran by a female. And that often happens. we will see these big rings ran by what they call a matriarch of the family. And this woman was 70 years old. This is multi-state. I mean, she was a huge business person. I can well imagine that she probably was well received at the Chamber of Commerce because she owned many, many businesses in this case. And she oversaw this very elaborate criminal enterprise. Now, they're bringing in people without documentation, but they're also bringing in workers on H-2A visas. And that's really where she was. She would apply legally to get the temporary work visas to get the people to come up here. The people were recruited from Honduras, Mexico, and Guatemala. And, if they're coming up on an H-2A visa, they're probably thinking they're safe. Now, they know that if they're living in the underworld, coming up paying a coyote, they may not be safe. But you are thinking that if they're coming up legally with the visas and they're getting to the U.S., that they're going to be safe. And I think that's some of the folly that we deal with out there is we have a tendency to think, well, okay, their lives are very difficult. Let them in, and they will be safe on our property. But they won't be, because there is nobody there to protect them from the people that they are traveling with, in which many cases they owe money to them. There were 24 defendants in this case, okay, and there were over 100 victims. Now, these are mostly male victims, and that's one of the things I want to bring to your attention is males get trafficked. We talk about, we have all the shelters for the females. We don't have a whole lot for males, and we need to do that. In this case, they were brought in to do agricultural work, but they were put in cramped, unsanitary quarters and fenced work camps with little or no food, very little plumbing or indoor plumbing, and without any kind of safe water. The workplace conditions these people were living in Georgia, in Florida, in Texas, in Alabama, these were on American soil, and they are being treated terribly. They were forced to dig onions with their bare hands, and they were paid only 20 cents a bucket for everything they harvested. They threatened them with guns and violence and promised to kill their family back home. I really want you to understand that even though they're on U.S. soil, they are absolutely tied to the threat back home. So we now have this taking place on our soil. One was repeatedly kidnapped and raped. They were literally treated terrible. But out of this situation came over $200 million. $200 million. And so where do those proceeds go? They purchase property. They purchase businesses. They funneled money through the Hard Rock Casino in Tampa Bay. Or in Tampa. Actually, it was over 200 million before it was over. So that is a lot of money. And my point I want you to realize is this is taking place and is taking place around us. And it is a concern because of the fact that that money is leaving our country and going off, and here, even in our own country, being used to enhance more criminal enterprises. And when that happens, the criminal ring gets bigger, the enterprise gets bigger, and more people are harmed right here in our location. Well, I want to finish this off with another thing that was happening here. I want to get my hands on the research here. I've done all this research, and at times, sorry about that, at times I outdo myself in research, and I wonder what I'm doing here. But I want to give you this line. ICE and HSS investigation results in prison sentence and restitution for international hacking group members who stole millions in cryptocurrency. So these are not people who are brought into the U.S. that are being violated. This is foreign national people invading you and your life and your money by hacking, and they have never set foot on American soil. So again, this is an organized ring, but they're taking money out of the U.S. and taking it other places, but they are not on U.S. soil. This hacking group, known to its members as the Community, They were sentenced in conjunction with a SIM hijacking conspiracy. Now, this is going to get a little bit complicated, so I'm going to ask you to stay with us. We're going up against that break here shortly. And I want to share this with you because these are people who invested in cryptocurrency online. But again, it is all about money laundering. Even if they didn't set foot in America or come in and harm human beings in America, as we just saw in a couple of these other cases, they in fact went in and hacked your account and took your money, and it is also about money laundering. So it gets quite interesting in our world, doesn't it? Okay, my name is Opal Singleton. I'm going to ask you to stay with us. We're coming up against that break, so stay with us. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about hijacking your money. Be right back.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we're talking about where does all that money go? And we're talking about money laundering related to a wide variety of criminal enterprises. And it goes on a lot more than any of us realize. But I really hope it starts to stimulate conversation in your household, because I want you to realize the big picture here. It is a fascinating thing that is happening, and a lot of this is happening because of technology. Crime is changing. Crime and crime solving is changing. And that's why you see me so adamant about raising funding and putting out money there for law enforcement to have good technology to identify these crimes and identify where this money goes. Whether it's a small casino over in LA or whether it's a big human exploitation operation, or whether they're stealing or shoplifting, or whether they're simply hacking your account and taking your money. All of this is about removing financial resources from our country and putting it someplace else so that the bad guy gets bigger and we get weaker. And so that's the reason why I think we need to stop when we start passing these laws that go easy on criminals. We have to understand that somewhere along the line, you're creating a huge long-term financial imbalance for crime solving. because it's going to get harder and harder to solve these crimes, stop it, and be able to keep the people from going in and having crime everywhere in your life, whether it's a simple store or whether it's your computer. So I want to share with you about this case because it's an illegal hacking. It's called SIM hijacking, SIM hijacking, or SIM swapping. It's an identity theft technique that exploits a common cybersecurity weakness, mobile phone numbers. This tactic enabled the community to gain control of victims' mobile phone number, resulting in the victim's phone calls and short message services, SMM text time messages, being routed to devices controlled by the community. The SIM hijacking facilitated by bribing an employee of a mobile phone provider. Sometimes, other cases, SIM hijacking was accomplished by a member of the community contacting a mobile phone provider's customer service, posing as the victim, and requesting that the victim's phone number be swapped to a SIM card and thus a mobile device. It was controlled by the community. So they're invading your mobile phone. If you're not following what's going on here, they're using a series of techniques to do it, either by bribing people who work at these mobile phone companies, and trust me, they have a lot of turnover, so that probably isn't all that hard, or by pretending to be the customer and contacting customer service. Members of the community then engaged in SIM hijacking to steal cryptocurrency from victims across the country, including California, Missouri, Michigan, Utah, Texas, New York, and Illinois. Cryptocurrencies, or virtual currencies, or digital currencies, are online media of exchange. And you hear all the hype about Bitcoin. It's like that. Traditional currencies, they act as a store of value and can be exchanged for goods and services as well as dollars. So they take over your mobile phone and off they go. The community had control of the victim's phone number. It was leveraged as a gateway to contain control of online accounts such as email, cloud storage, and ultimately those cryptocurrency exchange accounts. The community would use their information to control the victim's phone number, reset the passwords on online accounts, or request two-step verification codes that allow them to bypass security measures. In total, the community resulted in the theft of tens of millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. Individual victims lost cryptocurrency valued at the time of the theft ranging from anywhere from $2,000 to $5 million. The defendants were involved in total theft ranging from over $50,000 to $9 million. So they're now giving you the people that got arrested. Ricky Hans Schumacher, 28, 22 for Colton Jurisic, and Riyadh Abbas is 22. Now, these are young guys that are coming together. They're out of Dublin, Ireland. There's a couple more out of Dublin, Ireland, for what it's worth. Ryan Stevenson and Connor Freeman, and a couple out of Connecticut. So it says the actions of the defendants resulted in the loss of millions of dollars to the victims, some of whom lost their entire retirement savings. I point this out because it isn't always about human trafficking. It's about human exploitation, human violation. When they come in and get your retirement account or get your savings account, when they take over your identity and begin to make a lot of money, and then they send that money out of the country. So I hope this has been helpful. I know it's a complex conversation for a radio show. I thought about it a couple of times and thought, I'll probably have these people all confused. But I really, if nothing else after this hour, I hope that you stop and say to yourself, we need to look at crime and crime solving differently. We need to look at prosecution differently. We need to look at how we enforce the rule of law and not do it willy-nilly based on we don't like that one and we'll choose this one or not that one. We'll enforce this law but not enforce that one. All of this kind of thing opens the door not just for the small-time thug who got put into prison and now he's rehabilitated. You see, when they sell you these bills, they paint you a picture like it's some kid who was on pot and went in and stole some bubble gum, and so let's let him out early. No, it isn't like that. many of these people are repeat offenders, and a lot of people got hurt. When I hear that there could be 76,000 prisoners getting out of prison early in California based on Proposition 57, and up to 20,000 of them could be sex offenders. I'm not saying they all will be, but some of them are, and they're repeat offenders. But more important, they're not only interjecting into our safety, but they're also taking out massive amounts of dollars, trillions of dollars out of our society and out of our way of life. So we do need to be fair. We do need to be just. We do need rehab programs. We do need to understand on a case-by-case basis. Having said that, though, we need to pick and choose the rules of law that have been passed and make sure they get enforced. And don't pick and choose this one we're not going to enforce and this one we are. We need to understand that organizations, regardless of who they are removing massive amount of money out of our society. And our kids will be the ones that pay the price. The lack of safety, the lack of security, the lack of moral standards, and overlooking the rule of law is really going to literally erode the fabric of our society. And we will end up paying that price. And so I think it's an important discussion to have. I appreciate you listening today. I hope that you share this with everyone you know. I hope you'll follow Million Kids at millionkids.org. If this has been helpful, I hope you will go on and donate for us. We do this research. We get the information out. We literally sit with parents whose kids are being violated, and we help a whole lot of kids who've taken a wrong choice. And so our work is very, very important and serious to us, and I appreciate the fact that you listen to this show. And I hope that you will consider going to millionkids.org and hit that donate button. We truly appreciate each and every one of you that care deeply about your family, your kids, your grandkids, and the future of our society. I believe that we have to put that moral fiber back in, that we cannot, when you start calling wrong right and right wrong, then you're going to lose the structure that you need to be able to keep and build strong leadership and strong character. And that really is what this is about. I always share with kids, the way you don't get violated is you know who you are and what you stand for. And you decide that every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, you take the high road, you get character. And that you look out for each other and that we stand together. And so that includes retailers. That includes people who are trying to run a business. That includes solid people who are trying to have a retirement and make solid investments. We have a right to be protected, and we have a need and a necessity to look out for each other. But we need to understand that it's a complex world, and this is how it all ends if we start breaking the rule of law. My name is Opal Singleton. The organization is millionkids.org. I hope that you will follow us on all of our social media or go on to millionkids.org and sign up for insider alerts so you can stay educated. And I'll see you out there someday in the public. Introduce yourself. I look forward to meeting you. Have a great week, folks. See you next Saturday.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.